Mamá, ¿dónde está? Yo le decía, mamá está en el cielo, pero yo la quiero aquí. Y luego me dice, es que yo quiero estar con ella. Un día le dije, un día vamos a estar con ella.
What's good, guys? Welcome back to Raw Reflections with Steph, where today we're going to be discussing a true crime story. Y'all, I heard this story and I said, oh my stars, I have to talk about this because I am always weirded out when women go after pregnant women. Like when I was pregnant, I don't know why, but I had such a huge fear about a woman kidnapping me and taking my babies, y'all. And I think it's because you always hear of these stories randomly, right? Like not all the time, but you hear it, right? And you're just like blown away about it. And I try to think about it in the criminal mind, and it's like, why don't you just go adopt? Like, why don't you just go adopt? And I heard a story about 40-year-old Margarita Flores and from Fresno, California, back in 1998. And I was just blown away by the story because I've never heard of her story. Of course, I wouldn't have. 1998. I wasn't even 8 yet. I was probably 7.5. And I'm just always fascinated of these stories because they happen a lot, more than people know. Like they happen a lot. And I was watching her husband talk about, his wife and how she was a mother. They had 2 children together, but they had a total of 5 kids. And it was so heartbreaking that this is what people do. And it reminded me of another young woman that went missing. Her name is not, I can't think of it. I see her face, but I can't think of her name at the moment. And I'm like, we have to really talk about these things because it happens a lot. Like I said, 40-year-old Margarita Flores was living in Fresno, California, where she gets a call, or it had been said like a visitor. She ended up meeting this lady by the name of Salanda. Yes, so she ended up meeting 43-year-old Josefina Salanda, who they said she must have met her in passing at the hospital, where she go, for the baby and stuff. And the lady was said to have been a Spanish interpreter. Now, the thing about this is she comes to Margarita's home and offered baby supplies and furniture. Now, Margarita, she's not thinking anything of this. She's thinking, okay, most likely met this woman before. And when you're pregnant and you already have a lot of children, you're going to be, especially back then, I feel like when I would witness people having babies, it was not a cliche thing that you took things from other people because like hand-me-downs and stuff like that. It was not a thing that you were frowned upon of doing. So she ends up going with Josefina. So Margarita was about 8 months pregnant, right? Like I said, she met Josefina and Josefina comes to the house to offer the baby supplies and furniture because, like I said, it wasn't a cliche thing that you would do, especially back in the day. Now, on September 14th, 1998, she ends up going with Josefina. And this would be the last time that anyone would see Margarita. Now, the thing about this is her husband, he didn't think that it would take long because Margarita had said, hey, it's not going to take long. I'm just going to go with her and get the baby supplies, right? Unfortunately, that was not the case. But good thing for her husband, when she did not return home around 3 p.m. that day, he was calling everybody, trying to figure out where his wife was. Because, first of all, she's 40, 8 months pregnant. I need to know where my wife is, okay? So people are looking all over for Margarita. They can't find her, right? Ironically, the next day, someone comes to the hospital with a baby that is deceased, saying that they gave birth and the baby is unfortunately gone. This led law enforcement to find out who the person was, it being Josefina. Now, she comes to the hospital and they're like, basically saying she's not pregnant. This is not her baby, y'all. And this led law enforcement to go to where she lived at. And they end up coming upon a tenant that lived on Josephina's home, right? And the story gets even crazier because he's telling all of these details and see a body. It was kind of like in a rug, basically seems a deceased body. When law enforcement get there, the body is gone. So he basically unalives himself by hanging himself. And he does leave a letter basically saying that he did not have anything to do with this murder. And the crazy thing about this is the woman, Josephina, she cuts up Margarita's body and dismembers her body all over, y'all. And sits, and what baffles me is lies when they get her, even in the courtroom, saying that her and Margarita had an agreement that she was going to get the baby.
It was part of a plan, a deal, Margarita's and mine.
And my thing is, if that was true, right? Basically she's saying that her and Margarita had this agreement. Margarita was to deliver the baby, but she ended up having a stillborn at 8 months pregnant. She's basically saying that Margarita induced her delivery to have that baby, right? 8 months pregnant. And I'm sitting there like, do you hear yourself? As I'm listening at the episode, I'm like, do you hear yourself? Because what would possess you, if that was true, what would possess you to get her body cut up and then to discard it like she was trash? And it gets even crazier, y'all. Josephina also commits suicide. And she basically writes in lipstick how she's pretty much innocent and she would never do anything like this. When I say I was so baffled at the turns of this story and how much she sat there and lied, I was so glad that she was found guilty. But it was kind of like, dang, yeah, she was found guilty, but then she was found in her cell. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And the simple fact that you talking about you did not do any of these things. Well, then who did it, ma'am? Who did it then? Like, I just don't be understanding. And when I heard about this story, I was just like, this is one of the most craziest stories I've ever heard. Not that taking a baby is not crazy, but like the twists and turns of it all, of how you got this woman at her home, you basically kidnap her, a defenseless 8-month pregnant woman in her 40s. Then you basically try to get the baby, but the baby is stillborn, and you take the baby to the hospital. You are nowhere looking like you're pregnant or had a baby. And then your tenant on the property calls police saying they seen a half-sized torso of a body. Then the body is gone. And then they started to find her body parts like all over, y'all. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And then you and your tenant both unalive yourselves. What? I was looking at the episode like, what is happening? Y'all, go watch the episode. It's called Evil in the Archives. Go check it out. I just thought it was such a crazy story to discuss on my platform. But if y'all want to go watch the full episode and look at it, was a quick episode. It was only like 27 minutes. But I just felt so bad for her husband and her children that she had, because no one deserves that. Like, people are crazy out here. And I don't know what it was. Like I said, when I was pregnant, that was my biggest fear, because I had always seen stories about women like going after vulnerable pregnant women, because what can you do? You're pregnant. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to protect the baby in your belly. And I just always had that fear. And I'm like, because people are really bad-ish crazy. Like, Some people really want a baby so bad, they will do whatever it takes to get a baby. Like, we always hear the stories, so you guys know. But yeah, that's Margarita Flores' story. 40-year-old from Fresno, California. I thought it was crazy. I've never seen anyone talk about her case. That was the first time I ever heard about her. And I just cannot imagine what she was going through. That poor lady did not deserve that at all. She's thinking this lady is being a charity worker, giving out resources, and the whole time she was plotting from the get-go. But yes, go check it out, y'all. It was a good episode. Let me know if you want me to discuss any other cases on here. You know, we always report on the missing. Doesn't matter how long they've been missing. We give everyone the rightful attention. Okay. But let me know any other stories you would like me to discuss. I just thought this one was crazy. People are crazy, y'all. Use your discernment when you out here, especially you pregnant ladies. Please. Okay. Bye, guys.